Hello and welcome, fellow digital soldiers, to True Reporting. It is the 5th of September, and on today's podcast, I wanted to get a little conspiratorial with you as we delve deep into what could be in Antarctica. Although a lot of us ponder this from time to time, and I found a thread that was well put together for me to share with you on this special Saturday podcast. So guys, real quickly, what I wanted to say is that we could see here that let's take a trip down south, way south, Antarctica south. Shout out to 11 Angel Aurora 11 for helping me put this together. This is coming out from absolute conviction, guys. So I really hope that you stick around for this great podcast. It's an awesome thread, and I'm sure that you'll leave some great comments in the comment section down below. Remember, guys, it is always an honor for me to be on the front lines with each and every one of you day in and day out, because in the end, guys, where we go one, we go all. Hey guys, let me tell you about my sponsor, KetoWithThomas.com. As you likely know, the keto diet is taking the fitness industry by storm for its benefits in healthy appetite management, energy levels, and mental clarity. We all need that. However, the keto diet is extremely difficult to follow, and for many, even harder to maintain. Some experts say it isn't even sustainable. That's why Keto Elevate was created. This amazing product powerfully supports ketone production whether you follow the keto diet or not. That's right, it can help elevate ketone levels even without the strict, difficult, and inconvenient no-carb diet that comes along with doing keto. This will provide your body with 100% C8, the most ketogenic MCT, which provides fast and effective support for peak energy levels. Awesome. Mental clarity, gotta have it, and healthy appetite management, we all need it. Get your own bag today for 51% off and free shipping by going to KetoWithThomas.com or by visiting the link in the description box below. Guys, please take advantage of this offer today. I hope you enjoy the podcast and enjoy your evening. All right, guys, it's good to have you aboard. Before we get into today's podcast, would you please go ahead and subscribe to my backup channel, True Reporting 2.0? I would greatly appreciate it. Also, follow me on Twitter at True Reporting. That is where you will receive the notifications for a regular podcast and when I go live on my main channel. And finally, friends, would you please be so generous as to leave a like. The more likes that this video receives, the more times it is recommended to other viewers, thus more eyes on the truth. And with that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and hop into today's show. This is True Reporting. So this thread I have had on the back burner for a while, and I wanted to share it with you today. We're going to be talking about Antarctica, and I know that that piques our interests a lot these days. Coming at us from absolute conviction, we can see here. Let's take a trip down south, way south. Antarctica south. Shout out to at 11 Angel Aura 11 for helping me put this together, guys. Please follow both these people on Twitter. They put a lot of work into it, and as you can see, some of these pictures, this is what we will be talking about, and it is very interesting to me and quite bizarre at the same time. Who knows what's underneath the ice of Antarctica? We've talked about it time and time again on True History, The Untold Stories, and I think this just adds to the stories being told. More and more, here we go. Is this real? Is this fake? I don't know. But either way, it does pique my interest. And this is who you need to follow, Angel Aura, for putting this together with the other gentleman, Absolute Conviction. And they go on to say, why Antarctica? Well, everything has been 100% politics lately. And I'm a conspiracy guy at heart. So am I. So I am going to try to post a topic like this every weekend to give everyone a break from the grind. And I will be sharing this with you if we continue to follow this person. Antarctica has long intrigued me. It is a topic wrought with history and mystery. There is so much secrecy surrounding it. One can't help but wonder what is really going on down there. What aren't we told? What is hidden down there? Ancient civilizations, he says? Stargates? An entrance to Hollow Earth? A portal? I don't know. I'm sure you don't know. So why don't we take a look at some of the anomalies and otherwise weird stuff about Antarctica? What do you say? He goes on to tell us that while thinking of how to get into this, I couldn't help but think that Admiral Byrd would be a great starting point. In order to start with him, we need to establish what kind of man this was. Admiral Byrd was an admiral in the U.S. Navy, a highly decorated one at that. With a combined 22 years of service, that is a very long time, including fighting in World War I and World War II. Admiral Byrd's reputation was nearly unmatched in his time amongst his peers. Pershing, Butler, and Dewey all held him in high regard. As you can see, the medals being offered to him, the Medal of Honor, Navy Aviator Badge, Navy Cross, Naval Distinguished Service Medal, Distinguished Flying Cross, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal, so on and so forth. This guy was decorated and well respected. Now, I know I am spending a good bit of time on Admiral Byrd, but there's a reason for that, which we will reveal later. Now we are about to dive in. Operation High Jump was an operation in 1946. It was ran by the U.S. Navy and led by Admiral Byrd and the Admiral Cruzen. As we can see here from Operation High Jump, the objectives according to the U.S. Navy report of the operation were training personnel and testing equipment in frigid conditions, consolidating and extending the United States sovereignty over the largest practicable area of the Antarctic continent, publicly denied as a goal even before the expedition ended. Determining the feasibility of establishing, maintaining, and utilizing bases in the Antarctic and investigating possible base sites. Developing techniques for establishing, maintaining, and utilizing air bases on ice, with particular attention to later applicability of such techniques to operations in interior Greenland, where conditions are comparable to those in the Antarctic. It says here, amplifying existing stores of knowledge, electromagnetic, geological, geographic, hydrographic, and meteorological propagation conditions in the area. Supplementary objectives of the Nanook expedition, a smaller equivalent conducted off eastern Greenland. He continues, as you can see, this mission was basically to test the feasibility of running operations out of Antarctica. Seems feasible, right? Which is curious, as this is the time period that World War II was wrapping up, and that Roswell happened. Most of us know that the you-know-who's infatuation with Antarctica. This is a fascinating read on the Germans' interest in Antarctica. It is a bit long, but absolutely interesting. Attached excerpt is down below. It says here, but it was Donnett's almost insane remarks at Nuremberg that seemed to point clearly to one of the two polar regions at the, in quote, site for these, in quote, plans. At Nuremberg, he boasted, get this guys, of an invulnerable fortress, a paradise-like oasis in the middle of eternal ice. Citing Willibald Mattern, UFOs, and he goes into speaking German, I can't really pronounce this, but continues to say, whatever the trustworthiness of Stevens' sources, these statements, plus the unusual behavior of some U-boats at the end of the war, and the Germans' well-publicized pre-war Antarctic scientific expedition, certainly seemed to spur the United States into a sudden and intense post-war military interest in Antarctica. Again, since the basic facts are well known to but a small circle of World War II and UFOlogy researchers, it is worth recalling them in some detail. The U-530 surrendered at Mar del Plata, Argentina on July 10th in 1945. The U-977 surrendered at Mar del Plata, Argentina on August 17th in the same year. The U-465 was scuttled off the coast of Patagonia in August of 1945. Another U-boat of unknown numbers surrendered to the Argentine Navy on June 10th, 1945. Very interesting. What are they surrendering to? At this point, it is all but fact that Hitler escaped to Argentina, which if you aren't familiar with the globe, it is but a submarine ride away from Antarctica. The FBI, in quote, knew Hitler lived. Otherwise, why search for him? Supposedly, Admiral Byrd was met with an otherworldly force that made him turn around. The other theory is that the real mission was the search for a hidden Nazi base. This is a good watch on the operation, and it isn't too long either. It's about 12 minutes, guys, but I cannot show that with risk of being flagged. Here we have an article detailing timestamps of the operation. This seems very inquisitive, as well as Admiral Byrd's own recollections. The deeper you dig, the easier it becomes to realize that there is, in quotes, something seriously intriguing about Antarctica. From this point, I write of the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. The radio man and I are taken from the aircraft, and we are received in a most cordial manner. We were then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moved us toward the glowing city with great swiftness. As we approached, the city seems to be made of crystal material. Soon we arrive at a large building that is a type I have never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. We are given some type of warm beverage which tastes like nothing I've ever savored before. It is delicious. After about 10 minutes, two of our wondrous appearing hosts come to our quarters and announce that I am to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply. I leave my radio man behind and we walk a short distance and enter into what seems to be an elevator. We descend downward for some moments. The machine stops and the door lifts silently upward. We then proceed down a long hallway that is lit by rose-colored lights that seem to be emanating from the very walls themselves. One of the beings motioned for us to stop before a great door. Over the door is an inscription that I cannot even read. The great door slides noisily open, and I am beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks. He, in quotes, says, "Have no fear, Admiral. You have an audience with the Master." I step inside and my eyes adjust to the beautiful correlation that seems to be filling the room completely. Then I begin to see my surroundings. What greeted my eyes is the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. It is in fact too beautiful and wondrous to even describe. It is exquisite and delicate. I do not think there exists a human term that can describe it in any detail with justice. My thoughts are interrupted in a cordial manner by a warm, rich voice of melodious quality. I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. I see a man with delicate features and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. After I am seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again and conveys the following in quote. "We have let you enter here because you are of noble character and well known on the surface world, Admiral." Surface world. I half gasp under my breath. Yes, the Master replies with a smile. "You are in the domain of the Ariani, the inner world of the earth. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface and for a distance beyond. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bomb over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Fludgeralds, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, my dear Admiral, but I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity, but now we must. For you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be witnessed here that the world does exist. Their world exists. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral. I interrupted. But what does this have to do with me, sir? The Admiral asks. The Master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into my mind, and after studying me for a few moments, he replied, in quote, "Your race has now reached the point of no return. For there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish their power as they know it." I nodded, and the Master continued, "In 1945 and afterward, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility, and our Fluggerwalds, I believe, were fired upon, meaning their crafts. Yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world. A great storm, my friends. A black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower on your culture is trampled, and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come for your race. We here see it more clearly with each hour. Do you say I am mistaken? No, I answer, says the Admiral. It happened once before. The Dark Ages came, and they lasted for more than 500 years. Yes, my son, replied the Master. The Dark Ages that will come now for your race will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. Wow. And they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. When that time arrives, we shall come forward again to help revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and its strife. And after that time, certain of your culture and science will be returned for your race to begin anew. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message. With these closing words, our meeting seemed at an end. I stood for a moment as in a dream, but yet I knew this was reality. For some strange reason, I bowed slightly, either out of respect or humility. I do not know which. Suddenly, I was again aware that the two beautiful hosts who had brought me here were again at my side. This way, Admiral, motion one. I turned once more before leaving and looked back towards the Master. A gentle smile was etched on his delicate and ancient face. Farewell, my son, he spoke. Then he gestured with a lovely, slender hand in motion of peace, and our meeting was truly ended. Quickly, we walked back through the great door of the Master's chamber and once again entered into the elevator. The door slid silently downward, and we were once again going upward. One of my hosts spoke again, and quote, he says, "We must now make haste, Admiral, as the Master desires to delay you no longer on your scheduled timetable, and you must return with this message to your race." I said nothing. All of this was most beyond belief. And once again, my thoughts were interrupted as we stopped. I entered the room and was again with my radio man. He had an anxious expression on his face. As I approached, I said, "It's all right, Howie. It's all right." The two beings motioned us towards the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back at the aircraft. The engines were idling and we were boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere seemed charged now with a certain air of urgency. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by that unseen force until we reached an altitude of 2,700 feet. Two of the aircraft were alongside for some distance, guiding us on our return way. I must state here, the airspeed indicator registered no reading, yet we were moving at a very rapid rate. 215 hours, a radio message comes through. "We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free." And then they spoke in a strange language. We watched for a moment as their crafts disappeared into the pale blue sky. The aircraft suddenly felt as though it was caught in a sharp downdraft for a moment. We quickly recovered her control. We do not speak for some time. Each man has his own thoughts. The entry flight log continues. 220 hours. We are again over vast areas of ice and snow, and approximately 27 minutes from base camp. We radio them, and they respond. We report all conditions are normal. Base camp expresses relief at our re-established contact. 300 hours. We land smoothly at base camp. I have a mission. End log entries. March 11th, 1947. I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the Master. All is duly recorded. The President has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of the United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on behalf of humanity. Incredible. I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. 3/12/56, the final entry. These last few years elapsed since 1947 have not been kind. I now make my final entry in this singular diary. In closing, he says, I must state that I have faithfully kept this matter secret as directed all these years. It has been completely against my values of moral right. Now I seem to sense the long night coming on, and this secret will not die with me. But as all truth shall, it will triumph, and so it shall. This can only hope for mankind. I see the truth, and it has quickened my spirit and has set me free. I have done my duty towards the monstrous military and industrial complex. Now the long night begins to approach, but there shall be no end. Just as long as the Arctic ends, the brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again, and those who are of darkness shall fall to its light. I will read this sentence one more time. It's very powerful. Just as the long night of the Arctic ends, the brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again, and those who are of the darkness shall fall in its light. For I have seen that land beyond the pole, that center of the great unknown. Admiral Richard E. Byrd, United States Navy, 24th of December, 1956. Now I'm going to pivot towards weird anomalies concerning Antarctica. Fitness tracking app Strava gives away locations of secret army bases from The Guardian of 2018. Fitness tracking app Strava gives away locations of secret U.S. Army bases. Data about exercises routes shared online by soldiers can be used to pinpoint overseas facilities. This video is short and highlights some very odd structures found in Antarctica. We can't show it here, but here's a picture down below. Here are what appears to be pyramids. What is interesting to me is the geologists outright denying it. Mountains? These are pretty symmetrical for mountains, and they seem a little familiar. As we can see the pictures here, the points of in the Antarctic ice ring, and then within Egypt, almost identical in linings and appearance of pyramids. We can see here, you can go on to Google Earth and put in these coordinates and see that these do not look like mountains, my friends, but more like pyramids. NASA found a gigantic rectangular iceberg that looks to have been perfectly cut. I'm not ruling out a natural occurrence here, but this is curious to say the least. Remember, guys, there are no coincidences. Look at this. I just can't imagine that this could actually be organic. Some more interesting images, including what is known as the blood snow. As we can see here, pictures down below. This is all coming from Google Earth. Check this out, red snow. If some of you know what this is, please comment down below and let everyone else know what do you think that this is. Again, tunnels. All of these are very strange anomalies. I'll leave that up there, those coordinates. And also this, very, very strange. It looks like something crash landed or something buried up under the ice. Google Earth says this. We can see in perfect detail almost all other places on Earth. Antarctica appears blurry and is almost impossible to distinguish any details. I find it hard to believe that this is an accident. The mysterious Antarctica ice circle. Check this out, guys. Unbelievable. What does this look like to you? A craft? A base? Could be both. There is a strange and extremely large circular shape when viewing a portion of Antarctica from above. Why is it there? No one really knows. Global warming has been suggested as a cause, or even the spot where a meteor hit the Earth. At which point could it have been a meltwater lake, which is currently the most likely explanation. Only time will tell if the mystery of Antarctic ice circle will ever be conclusively solved. Quite strange indeed. I found this video from Graham Hancock. If you guys don't know who Graham Hancock is, please do your research. It's incredible. He says here he found a video from Graham Hancock to be fascinating as well. He discusses the topography of Antarctica, as well as ancient civilizations having these maps thousands of years ago, showing mountains and rivers, which we have talked about on True History, The Untold Stories. One more interesting image, if I may, and then I will move on. Check this out, guys. What does this look like to you? Put in your comment down below. Considering nobody can ever go there, there seems to be a lot of weird stuff all over the place. No, seriously, you nor I could go there even if we could afford it. But why? Even if I had the money and means, I couldn't go or even fly over. As we can see here, the main treaty was open for signature on December 1st, 1959, and officially entered into force in 1961. The original signatories were the 12 countries active in Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year, 1957 to 1958. The 12 countries that had significant interest in Antarctica at the time were Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Chile, France, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, South Africa, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States. These countries had established over 55 Antarctic stations for the IGY. The treaty was a diplomatic expression of the operational and scientific cooperation that had been achieved on the ice. Notice, this treaty was signed in, quote, after Operation High Jump, the operation in which Admiral Byrd claimed to have been confronted by ETs and have seen Agartha. So again, I ask, why? Why is there so much mystery around Antarctica? James Forrestal was the first Secretary of Defense. What's interesting here is that this is a position that was created in, quote, after Operation High Jump and in, quote, after the Roswell incident. This is all starting to get a little weird, no? Let's have a quick gestalt. Operation High Jump was in 1947. Byrd reports ET interaction, Agartha. Hitler thought to have escaped Argentina. Nazi Germany interest in Antarctica. Treaty preventing civilian travel to Antarctica. The SOD created in 47, Forrestal. Going back to Forrestal, he was a lieutenant in the Navy and eventually the Secretary of the Navy. He was also a very successful Wall Street financier and a Roman Catholic. I make the last point because Catholics don't believe in suicide, and wouldn't you know it, James Forrestal committed himself shortly after Operation High Jump ended. He ended up committing suicide, and in the days before his death was rambling about aliens and hollow earth. This was a very successful man who by all accounts never showed an ounce of mental instability his entire life. So again, what did he know? What did he find out that he couldn't cope with? Going back to Admiral Byrd, he died of a heart attack in his sleep at 68. Not unheard of, but like General Patton, conspiracies surround his death, with some suggesting that he was murdered because he no longer wished to remain quiet about his knowledge of Antarctica. No crap is about to get really interesting. We all know that John Kerry has been there, Tom Hanks, Aldrin, the Pope, Obama, the Kirill. Actually, Kerry was there on election night in 2016. If you figure out why, please let me know. Did you know there's a Rothschild Island on Antarctica as well? And we've spoken about this time and time again. Rothschild Island is an island 39 kilometers long, mainly ice covered, but surmounted by prominent peaks of Desco Mountains in Antarctica. Unbelievable. Rudolf Hess, sponsor of the 1938-39 Nazi expedition. Hermann Goering, sponsor of the 1938-39 Nazi expedition. Admiral Richard Byrd, visitor, leader of the Operation High Jump in 1947, who makes strange remarks for El Mercurio of Santiago de Chile about the USA preparing to defend against enemy fighters that can fly from pole to pole with tremendous speed. Fascinating, right? Russia Orthodox Patriarch of Moscow, Kirill III, was a visitor to bless an Orthodox chapel. The U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry visited to learn about, in quote, climate change. So we were told. Buzz Aldrin, Apollo 11 moon astronaut, was a visitor who tweets about getting ready to go to the launch pad and then has to be evacuated and then quarantined. Prince Harry of Great Britain, a visitor on an, in quote, charity junket to highlight wounded soldiers and difficult career transitions. King Juan Carlos of Spain, the visitor, who wants to fulfill an, quote, lifelong ambition to see beautiful, scenic Antarctica. And as if all this were not enough, Buzz Aldrin allegedly tweeted, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself." Astronaut Buzz Aldrin tweets, "We are all in danger," apparently in reference to the alleged Pyramid Mountain found on the continent that we were just speaking about. This is his tweet. "We are all in danger, and it is evil." What follows is a theory, and that absolutely fascinates me, and that is the Ark of Gabriel was recovered in 2015 and taken to Antarctica. What is the Ark of Gabriel? Good question. Let's have a look-see. The Ark is said to have been an ancient weapon, using ancient tech, which supposedly could bring about, in quote, the end of the world. I won't go into detail as this thread is getting long, but there's a cool read on it. Unbelievable. What is the Ark of Gabriel? Not to be confused with the Ark of the Covenant, which houses the two-stone slab of the Ten Commandments. The Ark of Gabriel, which is not mentioned in the Christian Bible, is a mysterious device, a secret weapon that many people are beginning to learn about. Its legend has been perpetuated by the havoc it has wreaked over the centuries, as well as its potential to be unleashed upon the world. This legend is said to have ties to both Christian and Islamic faiths. It is that Archangel Gabriel is sacred to both. He foretold the birth of Jesus and dictated the entirety of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad. When the Roman Catholic Crusaders pillaged Constantinople in 1204, the Eastern Orthodox Church was able to squirrel away the contents of a manuscript from the Hagia Sophia Cathedral titled Gabriel's Instructions to Muhammad. The document detailed the message that the archangel gave to Muhammad in a cave near the holy city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It tells of a box, an ark, that holds a tremendous power and belongs only to God. This ark was forbidden to be used until the resurrection day, in quote, the resurrection day, and until then buried in an altar within the place of worship of angels before the creation of man. You remember the crane collapse at Mecca in 2015? The theory goes that the Ark of Gabriel was found while renovations were going on, and this caused the collapse. I remember seeing the video on Watch People Die of the crane collapse. If you never saw it, there was a pulse of light that followed by right after the shockwave before the crane came down. It was one of the craziest things I had ever seen. Check this out, guys, as the crane falls. There's the burst of lightning. Very strange indeed. I remember seeing the video, he says. Soon after this incident, a Russian ship was docked in Jeddah, reportedly carrying the Ark. Unbelievable. The report explains that 15 scientists who participated in the removal of the precious object from the underground at the time of its extraction produced a huge explosion. A plasma emission caused an explosion in one of the tunnels. In ancient religious texts, it says that God forbade the use of this mysterious destructive object that Muhammad would have wanted to use. This object was hidden under the largest mosque in Saudi Arabia. Putin was the first head of state to be notified by the Saudi authorities of the mysterious object discovered. He sent famous military ships, the Vladimirsky, to carry the mysterious object. A few days after this event, Putin ordered the bombing of Syria. It is also said that after the discovery, there was a very close relationship between Russia and Saudi Arabia. Interestingly, a February 12, 2016, a historic meeting for the first in over 1,000 years took place in Cuba between Pope Francis, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, and Patriarch Kirill of Russia, the head of the Russia Orthodox Church. Why? The exact nature of the conversation is not known, but there is information in quotes scattered on the internet that Pope Francis would have given Patriarch Kirill another secret Bible manuscript owned by the Vatican Library, which speaks of the same Gabriel's Ark, and about which is said to have been written even by the Bible watchmen, the angels. What happened next to the mysterious box, in quote, weapon, buried in the Mecca? There is information that, in quote, the weapon of the angel Gabriel might now be in the hands of the Russians. A Russian military ship, Admiral Vladimirsky, leaving in November 2015 the Jeddah Sort port, carrying on board the mysterious object called Gabriel's Ark, and the Russians took this weapon to Antarctica. Why there? I have no idea, but not for nothing. The Nazis had a secret base in Antarctica. There's something mysterious there. After the crane collapsed at Mecca, it was reported that the Saudis contacted the Kirill of Russia, and then shortly after that, the Kirill met with the Pope. For the first time in 1,000 years, that the two heads of these churches met face to face. Now, to reiterate, 1,000 years since these two churches leaders have met. This is not normal at all. Here is a link to the article if you'd like. It sources more article detailings in this meeting. So now we literally have no choice but to ask, what in the hell is in Antarctica that would drive the Pope and the Kirill to meet after 1,000 years, that would draw world leaders, dignitaries, and celebrities, yet we cannot go? Why are Google Earth images blurred? What about Buzz Aldrin's remarks? Hitler's interest in Antarctica, Operation High Jump, Forrestal's demise, the Rothschilds' island. What is down there? I don't know. But my guess is that it's something spiritual and otherworldly in nature. Something which could shift mankind and its history as we know it. I lean towards an advanced civilization, a Stargate, an inner Earth. I believe it has been a base of operation for the cabal, and that perhaps black hats no longer control it. Knowing what you have read above, it really throws a different spin on Trump's relationship with the Saudis and Putin, doesn't it? Not all as it seems. And we are in the midst of a spiritual war. I personally believe Antarctica plays a far larger role than we know. Thanks so much for reading this. I sincerely enjoy putting these threads together and discussing things which may be new for some. I hope y'all enjoyed this one, and if you have any relevant bits to add, I'm happy to add them to this thread and tag you. God bless. My friends, I hope you found this informative and you enjoyed it. We don't usually talk about stuff like this, but for a special Saturday podcast, I am out of town. I wanted to share this with you. I've had this on the back burner for over 2 weeks, and I just thought it was so well put together. So again, if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Twitter at TRUreporting, and do not forget to leave a like. Again, my friends, I will talk to you very soon. I hope you have a beautiful evening and a beautiful weekend. Remember, it's always an honor for me to be on the front lines with each and every one of you, day in and day out, because in the end, where we go one, we go all. Guys, if you found what you just watched informative and you enjoyed it, then please subscribe to the True Reporting family today. There are many ways to support this channel, like our Patreon link, our PayPal link, and our TRUreporting.us official website link in the description box below. Join the True Reporting family today and be a part of history, because where we go one, we go all.